So day two of ministry. This is on Sunday, so we got to go to the church and got to sit in um, on their service. And this was a really interesting church just because it wasn't like in a building. Like they had a place, but they actually held it outside just because the building that they had was so small. It couldn't hold their congregation, which is actually a good thing. Um, and it was interesting that their decorations were really amazing. Kind of like to set up the place and really make that area, that section of space into a place of God where God was working, and it was very clear that God was there. Um, it felt like we were in the presence of God the whole time, um, and so that was really cool. We got to do our skit for the church, um, and then PR came up to speak, and we also had a time of prayer after the sermon, and that was really neat because Pierre really called up different types of people. People who wanted to do ministry, people who wanted to um, revive their relationship with God, people who wanted to just know God. He called them forward and asked us to go out and just pray for them. And even though I'd only known the church for a day, even though I'd only met a couple of people from the church, it was amazing just to be able to pray over them and really ask God to pour into them, and to really allow them to be a light into their community. Um, it was very clear that God was working very hard in this community, and that He was really using this church as a light. And yeah, that was just really what I was praying for over these young people that were there. That God would continue to use them and just guide them in their path. There's even older people who decide to go into ministry, and it was amazing to pray over them and ask God to really pour into them, to give them the energy and the strength to keep doing what they were called to do. Also that day we were able to go up into the hills. So this community that we were working in, the church, was kind of bordering another community that was up in the hills, and this is a place where people come to kind of really achieve their Lima dream. Same thing as an American dream. Like people come from like the jungles, or like from poorer areas in Peru to really try to find a job in Lima, to try to find success and stuff like that. But these are, obviously sometimes that doesn't happen right away, and these people were kind of like outcasted into this community. And this community was very clearly, straight away, very, very tight knit. They go through very similar struggles. The kids all grow up together. The families support one another. There's whole families that live in like clumps along along this mountainside, and so that was really amazing just to go into that community and begin to pour out into them, begin to reach out to them. Kids were like running all over the place. Like there's no paved paths. There's people are just running up and down this mountain on like rocky, these rocky paths. Um, and it was really fun just to work with the kids. We got to do like dances for them. Ross and Michelle, who led up children's ministry, did some dances with them. We did crafts with them, and that was really fun. I think it was really fun. Actually, my group was really interesting. I got to lead up a small group of kids, maybe around like 12 or 13 kids or something, and we wanted to make like puppets. And so we had elephant puppets and we had cat puppets, and I asked my whole group, I was just like, hey guys, like, what kind of which animal do you want to make? Do you want to make cats or elephants? And I was like, who wants cats? Everyone shot their hand up, and I'm like, okay, I guess we'll do cats in this group. And I was like, who wants to do elephants? And this one girl shot her hand up, and I was just like, I get you. So it was really fun. That group just really loved just what we were willing to pour into them. Like I think everyone desires to be loved, and these kids especially. I think because they come into this world with such poverty. It was honestly so sad to see the amount of poverty that was in that community. To see there was really no good sewage system. They had running water, but they really had no good sewage system. It just wasn't just. It was just really, really run down. Like there was nothing being developed there at all. Um, People were just, the adults were just coming down the mountain trying to find jobs, like any jobs they could find in Lima. Um, so it was amazing just to be able to spend time with the kids and be able to just pour into them, really love them. And I think God really placed in me a heart for the kids of Peru at that point. Really showed me just how much He loved them and how much He wanted them to grow up in His light and in His footsteps. And I really hope that we were able to pour into them a bit, and they were able to really enjoy Not only the crafts and the skit and stuff like that and whatever we were able to give them, but beyond that, that they understood that there are people out here that really do care about them. They're not on their own, and most of all, there's a God that cares very deeply for them. So that was a really amazing experience. For me personally, I started kind of physically struggling that day, just because the mountainside is really hilly. I mean, it's hilly, it's rocky. No paved paths. We were hiking up and down the mountain trying to invite people to come to this kids program, and my bunions flared up pretty badly afterwards. I just don't think they were really ready for it. But I think most of all, I think God was really asking me to trust Him. Like, my feet are actually one of my greatest assets. I mean, we're walking around Peru all the time. We're standing and singing and dancing. Um, I really do need my feet. It's hard to do ministry without them, and I think for God to, make them tired, make them hurt, um, yeah, make them just weak. I think it really allowed Him to show me just how much of a healer He is, and also how much He wanted me to depend on Him. I could not depend on Him. I think once my bunions flared up, bunions are basically like this extra bone kind of thing that is on the side of my big toe, and sometimes it can like chafe against my shoes and get kind of swollen and inflamed and stuff like that. So it was interesting to go through that and um, begin to ask God, like pray for healing, to ask God for just strength, really, for the rest of the trip. So yeah, that was really amazing just to be able to reach out to God in that way. So I'm gonna move on to day 3 of ministry with the church, and yeah.